Okay, good evening. Welcome to tonight's shir. The halacha shir is entitled Boi Kallah and Toyameha parties. What is that all about? Well, last week we discussed the whole concept of tasting food on Erev Shabbos. The Mishnah Berurah says, he brings the Magen Avram in Siman Reish Nun, that it's a mitzvah litoim tafshilin. It's a mitzvah to taste the food mikol tafshil be'erev Shabbos. There's a mitzvah to taste the food on Erev Shabbos. We discussed last time whether it's all the food or whether it's particularly the chulent. But either way, there's a mitzvah of toyameha, of tasting the food on Erev Shabbos. And we suggested various reasons for it. One is Einik Shabbos, to ensure the food is tasty and will be eaten with relish. Another reason given is the Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi brings the concept of shalom bayis, i.e. to avoid the anger and upsets of burnt or spoilt food. And therefore, before Shabbos, you can fix it, you can prepare it, you can add spices or whatever it may be. Another issue is to avoid chil Shabbos. Namely, there is a problem with adding certain spices, uncooked spices, on Shabbos, and therefore, toyameha, to taste it before Shabbos, and therefore you can add the spices before Shabbos, avoids that problem. Another one is to prevent the inadvertent fasting, and that's what we're going to come to today. And we're going to come to something which I've never heard of before, and that is Boi Kallah parties. I've never heard of that before, but I came across a fascinating tshuva of Golker. Now, if you're listening online, please email me at j.golker@gmail.com, and I'll send you the handout which has this tshuva. But let's work through this tshuva. It's a very interesting tshuva. Who's Golker? So, in the first box on the page, this is page 3 of this little booklet. I've got a little biography, and the biography, let's read it, it's interesting. Harav Chaim David ben Rav Moshe Halevi, this is Golker, this is the author of these Shabbos and Shuvas. Noiled B'Yerushalayim B'Shnas Tov Reish Pei Dalet. He was born in Jerusalem in 1924. L'mishpacha Yotzar Turkiya, from a family which emigrated originally from Turkey. Lomad Yeshivas Porat Yosef. He learned in the famous Sephardi yeshiva called Porat Yosef. Amongst his friends, it says, was Rav Yosef, Rav Bantzir Nabashol, some of the illustrious Sephardi leaders and Talmidei Chachomim of the previous generation. He was one of the prime students of Rav Ezra Atiyah and the Rishon LeZion of Uziel. In B'Shnas Tovshin Yud Aleph in 1951, Moine L'Rav Ha'ir Rishon LeZion, he became the chief rabbi of Rishon LeZion. B'Shnas Tovshin Lamed Gimel in 1973, Nivcha L'Rabbi Shel Tel Aviv, he became the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, the Sephardi chief rabbi, I guess. He took over Rabbi Avadia's position because he was chosen to be the Rishon LeZion, the Sephardi chief rabbi in that year. Okay, and he was nifted in 1998, so that gives us a little bit of context of who he was. Now, he was asked a question. If you take a look at the second paragraph of this page 3, he wants to ask the author, Golker, he wants to ask him the following question. There is a minhag, that those who have come from Morocco to Eretz Yisrael, haminhag nikra Boi Kallah. There is a minhag, a custom, that they do something called Boi Kallah. What is that? Noyagim be'erev Shabbos, lifnei halicha lebeis hakneses. Before they go to shul on Friday night, Friday afternoon, litoim mimachole haShabbos. They taste the Shabbos food. V'yesh hamisifim mashkois charifim v'shtia Kallah. And there are those who add a bit of schnapps, a strong drink, or some cold drinks. Habayah b'minhag zeh, and the questioner says that the problem with this custom is shepa'omim ha'achila nimsheches gam la'achashkia. Sometimes this food, this eating, extends until after shkia. V'oich nichnosin l'Shabbos seveim u'murgash chisoron einik Shabbos. They come into Shabbos quite satiated, and there's a lack of Einik Shabbos, like there should be the first meal of Shabbos. A person should come into Shabbos b'tei ofen with an appetite. And therefore I'm asking, says the questioner, is there a precedent, is there a source for this Moroccan minhag to have a Boi Kallah to eat on Erev Shabbos before they go to shul? And I'm a ben yeshiva. How should I behave? Should I follow this Moroccan practice? Is it a correct thing to do, or should I not? Atzayin shepa'omim yotzli lisarech etzel mishpacha shenifkois k'shani misarav lishtatev atem besudas boi kallah. And he adds, the questioner adds, that sometimes he's invited to family and therefore not attending or not participating could cause upset. So how should I conduct myself? That's the question put to the Asay L'chorav. So here we go. Let's look at his answer. Tshuva. B'hashkofa Rishona. Initially I thought, B'daiti shemekar minhag zeh, the source for this minhag, no'ut b'minhag acher, asher nogu anshe ma'aseh litoy matavshin b'erev Shabbos, k'dei l'saknam kahigan, v'yu necholim l'taiva. And he's quoting what we said last week. This is, I think, the Lashon of the Magen Avraham, that there is a minhag of anshe ma'aseh, of people of stature, that they actually come and they eat from the necholim l'taiva, they eat with appetite. And this is also sourced in the Yerushalmi. There's some source sheets over there if you want. It's also sourced in the Yerushalmi. Chaim zochu, that toyameh chaim zochu, those who taste the Shabbos food will merit life. Litzon kodim haShabbos tafshin shel Shabbos l'kavod the Shabbos. So that really is a quote from the Magen Avraham, I believe. Yeah, this is what we said last week. This is, that's the Mateh Moshe. The Mateh Moshe in paragraph 4 of last week. So I've seen that is the Makar. And therefore, L'chorah, he says, that is the precedent to this boy who's asking, what should he do? Should he join this boy Kallah party on Erev Shabbos to eat on Erev Shabbos? So L'chorah, he said, I found that there is a concept of Tayamel, of engaging and eating food on Erev Shabbos. Elo. Third line of the first paragraph, which says Tshuva, Shelo nirali hadova mishum shetim azos hi l'tzorech tikun ha'macholim. But the source of that Matzah Moshe is to fix the food that was being cooked on Erev Shabbos. V'zeh mutal ala keres habayis bilvad v'lo ala gvarim. This l'chorah pertains to the woman of the house, the person who is cooking the food, and not on everybody, not on the males. And the L'chorah doesn't apply just to before, moments before Shabbos when you're about to go to shul. By then it's a bit late, and you're not going to sort of repair the food. Presumably that needs to be done a little bit earlier. So therefore, he says, I doubt this has to do with the concept of fixing the Shabbos foods to make sure they're tasty, or to avoid the Chil Shabbos problems, like we mentioned earlier. So, continuing. Lochein, therefore he says, I'm in the second paragraph on page 3 of this Tshuva Asay L'chorav. Lochein nirali yoseh, therefore it seems more likely, shemekar minhag zeh no'utz behilcha b'halocha acheres. It stems from a different halacha. Uchudivri haTorah b'siman reish mem tes, v'zeh l'shoinei. Yireh, shederech anshe ma'aseh lis'anes kol hayom. There is a minhag, which the Shulchan Aruch brings, and the Torah brings it, and the Shulchan Aruch brings it, for anshe ma'aseh, men of stature, to fast on Erev Shabbos, and that is sourced in the Gemara in Erevin. Kadisa be'Erevin, hani b'nei beirav the yosvi p'tanisa b'mali Shabbato. They fast on Erev Shabbos. Mahu la'ashlume. The question over there is, do they need to make up their fast if they don't fast? Alma shederech tamnei chachomim lis'anes be'Erev Shabbos ad kan l'shoni. That seems to be a precedent in the Gemara in Erevin that people tamnei chachomim fast on Erev Shabbos. Umaran haBeit Yosef, he's saying, Kosav al Dvarov, Pirush Kadeshi Konsul Shabbos Kashem Te'evim. The reason why these Tamdei Chachamim would fast on their Shabbos is that they should come into Shabbos with an appetite. Ella, Shaharav Bais HaBeis Chodosh, the Bach Kosav al Divrei HaTorah, V'zul L'shoinei, Miu Berekeach Kosav De'ein Nisanis Lechatchil B'erev Shabbos. However, the Bach brings the Torah in the name of the Rekeach that one shouldn't fast on Erev Shabbos. Nimtza sheshonu hadov machlikus kedele. Therefore, seems whether or not it's correct to fast on Erev Shabbos is subject to a big machlikus. V'das Moran and the Beis Yosef says she'ein leimonim mitanis be'Erev Shabbos. But you don't need to hold back from fasting. It's okay to fast. Aval hareitzin oleches bedarkim shel chasidim v'anshe ma'aseh lihisanis be'Erev Shabbos chosheshu l'svaras hacholkim. Those who want to take on that minhag to fast on Erev Shabbos, they, however, have respect. And they are choishesh for the other opinion, who argue with them, and say that they should not fast on Erev Shabbos. And therefore they've come to some sort of solution, i.e. they fast on Erev Shabbos, and then just before they go to shul, they have a little bit to eat, to sort of in honor of Shabbos, and therefore they're not actually fasting properly, and they're not, therefore they're complying a little bit, giving a nod to the other opinion. Fine, that's his suggestion. Now, Misanim Kallah, look at the next paragraph. Misanim Kallah, v'lifnei shkia leis Erev tamim tima. They fast all day, and then before shkia they eat a little bit tamim tima Kallah. They have a light, a bit of a snack. Kadesh le'ikonsu Shabbos came shem unim. So they shouldn't come into Shabbos fatigued and exhausted like we feel on the fast day. So it comes out that in reality they've actually fasted. L'shem hagvoras te'ov and l'sudas le'al Shabbos, to make sure that they've built up an appetite for Friday night meal. V'gam lo pogu b'kavod Shabbos, but yet they haven't been pogea in the kavod of Shabbos, i.e., they're not coming into Shabbos sort of exhausted and famished and weak as we all feel on the Motzei Tanis. V'af lo b'kavod Erev Shabbos, shemix Erev Shabbos k'Shabbos shekein talmud bo lifnei hashkia, and they haven't taken away from the spirit of Erev Shabbos because they've eaten something. So that is his solution. He says that the reason, the source, perhaps, for the minhag of this Boi Kallah is a compromise between the two opinions, whether you should or should not fast on Erev Shabbos. And therefore, the Beis Yosef says it's appropriate to fast. Talmidei Chachamim, Anshe Maisa, should fast on Erev Shabbos. However, as sort of a compromise to the opinion which is not appropriate, that the Bach brings the Rekech, not appropriate, Ein Lisanas Lechatchila B'Erev Shabbos, and therefore they have a taste of food before they go out to shul, so that they don't sort of come into Friday night, come into Shabbos famished, exhausted, like we feel after a fast. Continuing this tshuva, and there's an additional reason to fast on Erev Shabbos. Shekein b'Yerushalmi sham nizka oid she'Rabbi Yochanan tzom b'chol Erev Rosh Hashanah. Very interesting that the Yerushalmi says that Rabbi Yonasan would fast on Erev Rosh Hashanah. Harihu mipnei darkei tshuva. Why would he fast on Erev Rosh Hashanah, which of course is a very prevalent minhag? You fast on Erev Rosh Hashanah as a form of tshuva. V'kamei shekosav harav hachosid baldas chochma, etc. Datanis Erev Shabbos kadei lefash fesh b'maisov. And for those who fast on Erev Shabbos, it's ordered to encourage introspection, to sort of reflect on our week. That in so doing, that will sort of attract and encourage an additional, sort of a heightened neshama yesera that we all receive on Erev Shabbos. Sorry, to Bnei Torah nagu bo ki al Torah v'hiru tshuva zeichel neshama yesera. Therefore, Bnei Torah would fast on Erev Shabbos as a form of introspection and tshuva, and thereby will get a sort of an elevated neshama yesera on Shabbos. I'll call upon it. Next paragraph. Bein sha'atzoi be'erev Shabbos bo k'dei lahagbir ha'teov milah Shabbos. Therefore, whether the reason for fasting is to make sure there's an appetite for Friday night, or it's a form of tshuva, since it's subject to a machlekes, even those who have the practice to fast on Erev Shabbos, but they have the practice to stop a little bit before Shabbos as they go out to shul and have something just to make sure that it's not a proper fast. And I think, says the Asay L'Chorav, that is probably how it all started. B'nai Goles Morocco, from those Moroccan immigrants who came to Eretz Yisrael, that it came from that sort of compromise of whether you fast or don't fast in Erev Shabbos. Anshe Maisa, Talmidei Chachamim would fast in Erev Shabbos, but then as they go out to shul, they'd have a taste of food. As time went on, like many traditions, some parts sort of kept and some didn't, and the fasting part, that sort of slipped away. But not the actual eating as they left the house to go to shul. So that bit continued. They didn't chap why the parents, the fathers, when they went out to shul, they had a piece of kigel. They had something to eat. They didn't realize they were doing it as a compromise. They'd been fasting all day, and it was a compromise, a nod to the other shitta, which says that you should not fast in Erev Shabbos. And therefore, the fast slipped away, and all that was left was a piece of kigel on Erev Shabbos. And that piece of kigel suddenly became into this big Boi Kallah party. Last paragraph. And that seems to me the makar, the source for this minhag. But it's all conjecture. And it could be there are other reasons that I'm not familiar with. And therefore, my dear questioner, this very earnest yeshiva bach is asking this question: what should I do? I don't want to offend my family. What should I do? How should I conduct myself? You should not be be quick to offload minhagim unless, of course, they're contrary to halacha. And therefore, I think this minhag as well, to have the boy Kallah celebration or eating, you should not be quick to offload it. Not to abandon this boy Kallah practice amongst Moroccan Jews. Because ultimately it is l'kovet Shabbos. And I've never heard of Moroccan rabbis who have protested against it. And perhaps they even partook in it. However, when you fulfill the mitzvah of these boy Kallah parties, it should be a te'ima Kallah, a light taste of food, not too much. On the contrary, if you overeat at that time on Erev Shabbos, just before you go to shul, it will take away from the Suda Shabbos. So a very, very interesting tshuva, sort of historically fascinating, that this concept of a boy Kallah party, which I think in the Ashkenazi world has transformed into something called the Torah party, that this was a question put to the Asay L'Chorav. Like I said, the Sephardi Rav, a contemporary of Avad Yosef, formerly the chief rabbi of Tel Aviv, passed away in 1998, and he tells this young yeshiva bacher that if that is his family tradition to have the boy Kallah parties, he says he thinks that the reason, the makar for this, is a compromise for those minhagim to fast on Erev Shabbos and those not to, and therefore the Beis Yosef actually says Anshe Maisa, men of stature, Tamnei Chachamim, would fast. However, as a compromise, to sort of a nod to those opinions who say that it's inappropriate to fast, they would have a bite of food before they leave their house on Erev Shabbos, and therefore they've sort of ticked both boxes, because in reality they fasted, but on the other hand, they actually don't come into Shabbos weak and emaciated. However, he says it's not appropriate to offload the minhag. Don't offend your family, but just don't overdo it. Just have a little taste of food to eat, a small bowl or whatever it may be, but not to come into Shabbos that you haven't got an appetite for Shabbos. So it's a fascinating tshuva and a very neat compromise to this question.